Alright, guys, welcome back to another episode of Keep Talking to Nobody Explodes Academy, where I tell you more than you ever wanted to know about all of the modules in this game. Today we are going to be looking at memory. So if you've never played the game before, all the way up to if you're an experienced speedrunner, hopefully this video will have something for you. So let's just pull some up right away. So if you're new to the game, first of all, let's just talk about what it looks like and how you need to solve it. So once the lights come on, there we go. So here's a couple of them. You can see we've got one number. It'll always be 1 through 4. Have a number on the display, and then 4 buttons down here that we can press, as well as 5 of these little lights along the side. These lights will basically tell you how far you are through the module. So right now, none of them are lit up. When I press the first button, as long as it's right, you get this light. Then that's the second phase. If you get it wrong, then you'll see that you get reset back to the beginning. So yeah, that's pretty much how the module works. Alright, back to Office. Pull up this guy. So here's the manual page for it. And again, it basically shows what it looks like I just went through. And then here it's got the instructions for how to solve each stage. And there's 5 stages, again, like the 5 LEDs we just saw on the right side of them. So if you're a casual player, the different kinds of instructions we have in here are either if the display is 1, press the button in a certain position, or press the button with a certain label, or the more complicated ones are press the button in the same position that you pressed in a previous stage, or press the button with the same label that you pressed in a previous stage. Which means that if you're playing this casually, the person with the manual, the person being your expert, will have to remember or write down the position and the label of every button you press. And if you're speedrunning, then you have to remember the position and label of every button you press. Cool. So, man, this one's so much easier than last week's when I had to do who's on first. I'm already about out of things to say. So in terms of how to memorize this, because I think, yeah, that's about all I had for serious player. This is a pretty straightforward module, honestly, when you're playing normally, when you're playing casually. You'll just make sure if you're the diffuser, make sure you tell your expert what position and what label the button was when you pressed it, so they can write it down. If you're the expert, just write them all in order, and then just tell your diffuser which label or which position to press. So it's pretty straightforward when you're playing it casually. When you're speedrunning it, obviously you have to remember which button, label, and position you've pressed in all the previous stages, as well as remember what the instructions are for the current stage you're in. So some things to help with that. First of all, you'll notice that when you have instructions that refer to a previous stage, within a given stage they're always the same. Either they look for position or they look for label. So let me just give an example of that. So like in stage 2, the instructions that refer to a previous stage always refer to the position, right? If it's a 2, you press the button in the same position you pressed in stage 1, or if it's a 4, press the same position as you pressed in stage 1. Same for if you're in stage 4, when you look at a previous stage, you're looking at the position from those stages. On stages 3 and 5, you're looking at the label from the previous stage. So that means there's never going to be a situation where you have to, within a given stage, you don't have to remember whether the look back instruction is for a position or for a label. It'll be determined by the stage number, which maybe that helps a little bit. Let's see. So let me just wish I had organized tabs. Jesus. Let me just run a couple so we can see what it looks like to actually finish one. This is a module I would not recommend trying to do more than one at the same time. It is a real disaster to try to remember. So that's 31, 31, 31, 31, 31, 3. Oh boy. Okay, yeah. 1, 1, 4, 1. No, 1, 1, 4, 3. Didn't matter. Okay, so when the way I remember these, and you can sort of hear me mumbling this to myself, is I remember the label and then the position. So the label is the tens place, and the position is the tens place. The label is the ones place. So like this right here, the display is the 4. So in the first stage, that'll mean press the button in the 4th position. It's 2 tabs. There we go. Right. If the display is 4, press the button in the 4th position. So I'll press this one. It's the 4th position. It's labeled 1, so I remember that as 41. I say that out loud just to help remember it a little bit easier. 41. This one is labeled 4, so it'll be 41, 34. Going first stage and second stage. 41, 34, 4. In the third stage, you never need to look back at its position, only the label. So I leave out the position in that one. Oh god. Now I've confused myself by talking too long. I think it was 41, 34, 4. Okay, well this will be 1444, so as long as I don't get a 1, then we're fine. Cool. The timer just stopped making sound. That's a new one. Alright. 31, 31, 34, 31, 34, 4, 1434. Talk about that in a second. There we go. So, and when I'm doing the 5th stage, I just say the 1 digit from each of them, which is because stage 5, again, it's always, you either look at label or position. It'll never be both. So stage 5, you're only looking at label. So I just say the labels from the last stages in the order that they appear in this list, not the order that they happened. So I say stage 1, then stage 2, then stage 4, then stage 3. So then if I see a 3 on the display, I just click the 3rd number in the list I just said. Or if it's a 1, I click the 1st number in the list I just said. So again, that's just what makes it easier for me. Obviously, this is not set in stone. In terms of how to memorize the actual stages, again, I'll give the same disclaimer I always give here. It's whatever you come up with will be more memorable than whatever I use that I'm about to tell you, because making the mnemonic yourself makes it stick better. But if you're not interested in speedrunning this and you just want to see what I do, the way I remember this is as like a little narrative between two people, like having a conversation in some post-apocalyptic setting. Because again, the more random details you add, the like to flesh out the story, the easier it is to remember. So okay, so the first stage is pretty easy. If it's a 1, you press the 2nd position. If it's 2 through 4, you press the position of the display. So if it shows 2, you press the 2nd button. If it shows 3, you press the 3rd button. If it shows 4, you press the 4th button. So that one's super easy. And then, so I guess the scheme I used to create this mnemonic to encode, or to go from these manual instructions to some story I can remember. So we'll start with this one. If the display is 1, press the button labeled 4. So I took the L from labeled, and in other places I take the P for position, and then I assigned a vowel sound for each of the different numbers. So 1 is an I because it looks like an I, 3 is an E because it looks like a 3, 4 is a U, I don't know how that one happened, and 2 doesn't actually have one. There's never a constant 2 outside of this first. The first stage there will be a 2nd position, so I would have to remember that as P2, and use some vowel for 2, but obviously this is just 2, 2, 3, 4. I remember it that way. It's super easy. Aside from that, you have label 4, you have position 1, position 3, label 4, position 1. So there's no other 2s, so I don't actually have a vowel sound for 2. I just have 1 is I, 3 is E, 4 is U. That was a massive sidetrack. Jesus. I guess 4 is technically an U sound, so it can be a U or 2 O's. Anyway, so the way I remember label 4 is L and then U. And then to make it an actual word, I just stick a T at the end of all of them. So L4 turns into L-U-T, so loot. And then to remember a previous position, it'll be, so it's remember a position from a certain stage. So I turn the stages into letters. God, this is complicated. I didn't really think through how, like, I didn't think about how specific I had made this until I'm sitting here trying to explain it. Alright, so I'll just go from the top level. So the way I remember stage 2 is loot A, pit A. So loot, like I just talked about, L4. 4 makes a U sound, so that gives you loot. And then A means stage 1. And since we're in stage 2, that means we're talking about a position. Right? And then 3 is position 1, so that's PI, and then stick a T at the end to get pit. And then 4 again is A because it's stage 1. And we're talking about position, but we don't need to remember that because stage 2, all the lookbacks are position. And then stage 3 is BA pet loot. So B because it's stage 2. And then now that we're in stage 3, we're looking at labels from previous stages. And then A because it's stage 1. Pet, position 3, so PE, stick a T on the end, PET, pet. And again, label 4 is loot. For stage 4, this is A pit BB. So A, stage 1, pit, position 1, PI, T, pit. And then B, B, because they're both look back to stage 2. And again, this is stage 4, so now we're looking at positions. And then finally, stage 5, I don't actually have a mnemonic for this one. It's just the way I say it out loud at the end, like I mentioned before. I just say the labels from stages 1, 2, 4, 3 in that order. I sound kind of insane from that mnemonic, but that's been the case for all the mnemonics in this series, is as I'm saying them out loud, I realize they make no sense. But hopefully you were able to follow that explanation a little bit. Maybe. Oh man. That's probably the most convoluted mnemonic I have. It's either that or maze, because maze is kind of a clusterfuck as well. Because there's just a lot to remember there. Okay. Well, the most complicated mnemonic is who's on first, obviously, because that module is evil. Outside of that, I think either memory or maze are probably the next most difficult to remember. Morse is actually surprisingly easy, but I won't steal my thunder from next week. Once you're speedrunning, I should say. When you're playing casually, Morse is definitely the hardest module in the game. But when you're speedrunning, Morse is actually surprisingly easy, which is really nice. So yeah, I think that's about all I have to explain about it. So let me, now that I've talked through how the mnemonics work, I'll try and play some modules actually using the mnemonic out loud and a lot more slowly. So hopefully I can, or it'll clear up how this actually works. So number 2 just means position 2 on the first button, so that's 24. Now we have loot A, pit A, so that ended, the fourth one in that list was A, which means the same position from the first stage, so it's 1. So, and now I'm going to struggle to remember this as I'm talking about. I think we have 21, 21. This is BA pet loot, so position 3 is 33. 21, 21, 3, because you don't need to remember the position. A pit, pit is position 1, so there's 2. That gives us 3, 3, 2, 1, I think. Nope. Okay. And now we get the best part of memory. If you screw it up at the end, you get to do the whole thing over again. Although that is probably for the best, because if you forget what's in the previous stage, you can't really unforget it. Alright, 43. You know what? Let me just grab a pen and paper so I can write this down so I stop forgetting it. 43. Alright, so this one, stage 2, it goes loot A, pit A. The first one is just loot, so label 4, which will be 44. 44. Alright, stage 3 is BA pet loot, so the fourth one there is loot, label 4. Click that, and that is 24. And then the first, stage 4 is A pit BB. The first one in that list is A. We're talking about positions in this one at stage 4. So we need the position from stage 1, which fortunately I wrote down, is 4. So that'll be 42. And now we have, so normally when I'm doing this, I would just say the labels from the last 4 stages in order, or in the flipped order. So you go first stage, second stage, fourth stage, third stage, which in this case is 3, 4, 2, 4. And then in that list, the fourth one I said was 4, because it was 3, 4, 2, 4. So the fourth one is 4. Click 4, and we're good. All right, I'll run through another one, try to speed it up a little bit. That is 43. Loot A pit A, so pit position 1 will be 11. Now we have B A pet loot. Pet, or the third one is pet position 3, so that's 34. A pit B. B, we're talking about positions here, so that is the position from the second stage, which was 1, so that'll be 12. Position 1 label 2 is 12, and 4, so that will be the label from the third stage, which was 4. And then I'll just do this one normally. 23, 23, 24, 23, 24, 3, 3, 4, 2, 3. 3, 4, 2, 3. Cool. So yeah, that's how memory works if you're speedrunning. I'm not as rusty with this one as I was with Who's on First, so hopefully that looked a little more impressive than the clusterfuck that was last week. But yeah, that's about all I have to say. Hopefully that was informative, insightful, other N words that I can't think of right now. Entertaining, there we go, there's one. Alright, so yeah, hopefully that was helpful. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe, all that shit everyone tells you to do on YouTube. Alright, thanks for watching, see you in the next one.